Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Mind Map. In today's episode, we are covering Polity subject and the topic is Subordinate Courts. First of all, we will have a look at a brief introduction of the topic. Then we will discuss about constitutional provisions, subordinate courts in India, National Legal Services Authority, Lok Adalats, issues faced by the subordinate courts and way forwards. First of all, let's have a look at a brief introduction of the topic. One of the features of the Indian judiciary system is the hierarchical structure of the courts. There are different levels of judicial system in India empowered with distinct types of courts. Now moving on to constitutional provisions. Article 233 to 237 of Part 6 of the Constitution have made the provisions for subordinate courts related to the judicial system. The provisions have been made to regulate the organization of the subordinate courts and to ensure their independence from the executive. Now let's discuss about the appointments. First is appointments of district judges. Article 233 of the Constitution deals with the appointment of a district judge. The district level courts are under the direct superintendence of the High Court. A person to be appointed as a judge of the district court should have the following qualifications. He or she should not be already in the service of the union or of the state. He or she should have been an advocate or a pleader for not less than 7 years. And he or she should be recommended by the High Court for the appointment. Appointment of other judges. Appointment of persons other than district judges to the judicial service of a state is made by the governor of the state after consultation with the State Public Service Commission and the High Court, Article 234. Control over subordinate courts. The activities like appointment, promotion and posting of district judges, including persons appointed by judicial services, is vested in the High Court. Now let's discuss about subordinate courts in India. First is civil courts. The civil courts in the districts are further categorized into many sections such as the Court of District Judge, Courts of Sub-Judges, Court of Munsif and Small Cause Court. The civil courts deals with cases pertaining to disputes between two or more persons regarding property, divorce, contract and breach of agreement or landlord-tenant disputes. Court of District Judge. The Court of the District Judge is the highest civil court in a district to deal with civil cases. It hears appeals against the decisions of the courts of sub-judges and some of the cases begin directly in the Court of District Judge. An appeal against the decisions of this court is made in the High Court of the state. Courts of sub-judges. Below the Court of District Judge, there may be one or more courts of sub-judges in the district. All these courts hear and settle civil disputes. Appeal from the courts of sub-judge lie in the district court. Separate family courts, which are equal to courts of sub-judges, are established to hear cases of family disputes like divorce, custody of children, etc. Court of Munsif. Below the court of sub-judges, there are courts of Munsif and small cause courts which decide cases involving petty amounts. Most of the civil cases are filed in the court of Munsif. A case can be taken on appeal from the court of Munsif to the court of sub-judge. Next are criminal courts. They hear criminal cases which are related to violation of laws. These involve theft, rape, physical assault, murder, etc. Under the criminal courts, there are courts of the district and sessions judge, additional sessions judge, assistant sessions judge, and the courts of magistrates of first, second, and third class. The Court of Sessions Judge or Sessions Court is the highest court of criminal cases in a district. In metropolitan cities like Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai and Chennai, first-class magistrates are called metropolitan magistrates. All these criminal cases are competent to try the accused and to award the punishment as sanctioned by law. Revenue courts. Revenue courts deal with cases of land revenue in the state. The highest court in the district is the Board of Revenue. Under the Board of Revenue are the courts of commissioners, collectors, tehsildars and assistant tehsildars. Every dispute related to land revenue first comes before the court of tehsildars. An appeal against its decision lies in court of collector or deputy commissioner. Now let's discuss about NALSA, that is National Legal Services Authorities. In the year 1987, the Legal Services Authorities Act was enacted by the Parliament and came into force in November 1995. It was mainly introduced to implement Article 39A, which provides for free legal aid to the poor and weaker sections of the society and ensures justice for all. NALSA was constituted under the Act, and its main objectives are to provide free legal aid and advice, spread legal awareness, organize Lok Adalats, and promote alternative dispute resolutions. NALSA lays down policies, principles, guidelines, and frames effective schemes to implement the legal services programs. The people who are eligible for getting free legal services are women and children, members of SCs or STs, industrial workmen, victims of mass disasters, disabled persons, or persons in custody. Those persons who have annual income of less than the amount prescribed by the respective state government or Supreme Court. Victim of trafficking in human being or beggar. Now moving on to Lok Adalats. It is one of the components of the Alternative Dispute Resolution or ADR system and delivers informal, cheap and expeditious justice to the common people. The first Lok Adalat camp was organized in Gujarat in 1982. It was given statutory status under the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. A Lok Adalat shall have jurisdiction to determine and to arrive at a compromise or settlement between the parties to a dispute in respect of any case pending before any court or any matter which falls within the jurisdiction of any court and is not brought before such court. The Lok Adalat shall have the same powers as are vested in a civil court under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. The decision of Lok Adalat is binding on the parties and it has the status of a decree of a civil court and it is non-appealable. Now let's discuss about issues faced by the courts. First is pendency of cases. India's legal system has the largest backlog of pending cases in the world. This results in delayed justice and also in overcrowding of the prisons. Vacancies. The subordinate courts have a grave shortage of judicial officers, which again adds up in delaying of cases. The poor judge population ratio increases the burden of the existing officers and leads to delay in judgment. Inadequate infrastructure. The court at the subordinate level lacks proper infrastructure, which includes absence of basic facilities. The poor working conditions need drastic improvement, particularly if they are to meet the digital expectations raised by the higher judiciary. And less budgetary allocation. The budget allocated to the judiciary is between 0.08 and 0.09% of the GDP. Such allocation for a vast country like India is not sufficient and leads to underdevelopment of the judiciary, especially at the subordinate level. Now lastly, let's discuss about way forwards. First is increasing judicial strength. More judicial officers and other staff must be appointed to ensure effective working of the courts. Adequate budgeting. The budgetary allocation must be increased for the subordinate courts, which will ensure infrastructural development. Promoting alternative dispute resolution. The alternative dispute resolution such as Lok Adalats and Gram Nyayalayas must be promoted as they are fast and inexpensive. It will also help in reducing the burden of the courts and setting up fast-track courts. To clear the colossal scale of pendency, fast-track courts must be set up under a time-bound program. Now it's time for the practice questions. First of all, note down the prelims question. In India, legal services authorities provide free legal services to which of the following type of citizens? 1. Person with an annual income of less than rupees 1 lakh. 2. Transgender with an annual income of less than rupees 2 lakh. 3. Member of other backward classes with an annual income of less than rupees 3 lakh. 4. All senior citizens. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 3 and 4 only, 2 and 3 only, or 1 and 4 only. And now mains question. Systematic flaws in the appointment process among other reasons have contributed to vacancies in the lower judiciary. Comment. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.